So my M92 SBR build is complete. It took a while to get to this point. I've had my Form 1 approved for a while, but I wasn't sure exactly which route I wanted to go. But I finally figured it out, and I finally have it exactly the way I want it. Now with the M92, there's so many different options. A lot of people choose to go the pistol brace, which usually bolts underneath the pistol grip here. But I knew I wanted an SBR right from the get-go. I just like having an actual stock that's a little more stable than a brace, but a brace isn't a bad way to go if you're kind of unsure if you want to keep the gun, because selling an SBR is kind of a hassle, and if you ever decide to sell it, you'll lose the $200 tax stamp that you have in the gun. So it's a good route for someone that's unsure what they want to do, or someone that just doesn't want to deal with the hassle of the NFA. But it is what it is, and to me it's totally worth it. I'm just not a fan of the whole pistol brace thing. I just prefer to have it as an SBR. But I wasn't sure which route I wanted to go as far as an SBR, because a popular option is to get the Stormworks hinge and Manticore Arms triangle stock and just have it bolted to the rear trunnion. That's one option, but as you can see, I chose the option of having the rear trunnion replaced with a traditional side folding stock. And I actually bought the Stormworks hinge and Manticore stock originally because I thought that's what I was going to do. It's the cheapest way to go about SBRing it, and the least amount of hassle. It's just literally 2 bolts to the back of the trunnion instead of paying for a smith to change out the rear trunnion and cut a little slot in the front for the stock to lock into. And honestly, when I got it, I wasn't happy with the finish. It's like really, really rough. Scratches super easy. So actually I got some Alumahide and just coated, and that actually worked pretty well. But I still wasn't satisfied with it. I don't know, it was just something about it. It just didn't feel right on the gun. I just wanted something that was a little more sturdy and felt like it belonged on the gun. So I actually ended up selling the stock and hinge, and actually made a little bit of money off that. And instead I went and got a Russian side folding stock and trunnion, and I had it installed by someone of the name, I believe it's Matt Yemens. He goes by Turbo This, I think is his username on AK Files. But I had him replace the rear trunnion and cut out the slot for the little latch to lock into. And this is the original trunnion right here. And I did a lot of looking around, and it was the cheapest. There were some people that were charging like $700 to have it cut out and replaced, and he was actually really, really reasonable. Really, really reasonable compared to what most other people were asking. So I immediately took him up on his offer and sent him out the gun and stock, and turnaround time was really quick. But he doesn't do refinishing, so I had the gun refinished, Cerakoted, which was actually a nightmare, by a local Cerakote shop, and it was terrible. The finish of the quality that they did was terrible. There were blemishes on the rear of the dust cover, and I took it back to them. They refinished it again in Cerakote, but it seems like they just refinished part of the gun because it it was a mismatch, completely mismatch on the Cerakote, and I sent it back to them again, and they refinished it. It wasn't any better, so I eventually just sent it off to someone who actually is a professional at it, and the finish now is awesome. So going that route's actually kind of expensive compared to just having a stock bolted on the back, because you're paying for the gunsmith to take out the rear trunnion, and then you're paying for a refinish. But to me, it's totally worth it. It's exactly the way I want it. The stock locks up solid. Really happy with it. Release the stock, you just push that little button and it locks in place. Also on this buttstock I have a, I believe it's made by Ishmash in Russia, this little butt pad that just screws, as you see underneath the stock, it just screws right on to the stock and gives some nice traction, nice rubber traction. Increases the length of pull by almost an inch. That was relatively inexpensive. Also, as you can see, I got a US Palm pistol grip on there. And another thing is I had the bolt carrier group. It is unloaded, by the way, for everybody that's worried about that. I had the bolt carrier group phosphate coated by a company called Calico Coatings. They actually did a really good job, really fast turnaround, and it was really cheap, because the bolt carrier group and bolt that come on the M92, a lot of people think it's stainless steel. It's not. It's just metal in the white. So I wanted it phosphate coated, not only because I like the look of the black bolt carrier group, but for corrosion resistance as well. Also, I got, I believe it's CNC Warrior booster. It's not the full size one. Forget exactly what it's called, but it's the shorter version to the full size one. I don't know how well it works. I just like the look of it. Also, as you can see, I stained the wood handguards. I sanded them down and stained it. And also I have a Tapco G2 trigger in here. Oh, another thing too is the sights. I replaced the rear sight. It's a peep sight from Kyber Customs. It's so much better compared to the original just notch sight that comes on the M92. It's a world of difference. They have a couple versions, but well, I think this and another one that's like a V-notch, but this is dual peep sight. It's got short range aperture and then the longer range aperture. This is really nice. This and the stock bring the M92 together. I also have, almost forgot, a extra strength recoil spring in there. Actually works pretty well, taming down the recoil just a little bit. That was fairly inexpensive. So overall, I have a good chunk of change into this M92 from all the gunsmithing, refinishing, all the little mods that I've done to it. But it's totally worth it. And I actually bought this gun for a pretty good price. I think it was like $399, $400, something like that, a couple years back. So I got a good deal on it. But overall, it's totally worth it. It's a lot of fun at the range. It makes a lot of noise, shoots a fireball, but everyone that shoots it enjoys it. Doesn't shoot as big of a fireball as my 51 right here, but it's a close second. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to send me a message or leave a comment below. Thanks.